The title of today's video is 23 Millionaire Behaviors. You know, they say success leaves clues, or success leaves breadcrumbs, or success leaves a trail. So if you want to be in a certain area of your career, if you want to be in a certain area financially speaking, look at people who are already there. Look at what they're doing. Look at their path to get there and how they got there, and start kind of studying and examining that, and try to start implementing some of those things in your everyday life. I was kind of surprised when I found these 23 millionaire behaviors, and some of these are more facts than they are behaviors. But I think a lot of these are going to surprise you. You know, we're living in an age where everybody wants passive income, right? Everyone wants to earn $5,000 a week while sitting on a beach sipping margaritas and not doing a whole lot of work. We're also living in an age where money's being kind of downplayed. You know, so somebody saying they make a couple $100,000 on YouTube is like nothing. I want to see $1 million. I want to see 5 million. We're living in this age where everyone makes it seem like everybody's a millionaire and everybody can do it very passively. And I think according to a lot of these facts and statistics, you're going to see it's definitely achievable. It's maybe not how it's oftentimes portrayed on YouTube. Now, a lot of the millionaires are older. You know, technology and the internet has made a lot of young millionaires. There's a ton of opportunities to make money online these days, but a lot of the millionaires out there are, you know, baby boomers, people who are much more established in their careers, have been running companies for years. So another thing I think will be interesting to see as we kind of go down this list is, you know, things like, I think one of these facts is like 60-something% of millionaires went to college. Again, most millionaires, a majority, are probably going to be older. So I think it'll be interesting to kind of look at similar statistics in 15, 20, 30 years when a lot of the boomers have retired, and to see what these stats look like. And the reason I say that is, like, historically, even up until maybe the past, 10 years or so, like, going to college was kind of just what you did. Everyone went to college, and if you want to have a nice, comfortable life, you go to college. And we're starting to see an education inflation. There's way too many people with college degrees. The economy has shifted, and I think moving forward in the future, college will be much less so an indicator of success or wealth. I don't think it's necessarily going to be the norm to go to college, even today, let alone moving forward into the future. So let's kick off this list, the 23 millionaire behaviors. Behavior number 1, education is important, with 84% of millionaires having a college degree, according to the Spectrem. So it looks like the vast majority of millionaires actually have college degrees. That's kind of what I was just speaking to. You know, I'll be curious to kind of look at these stats 20 years down the road. I think college is, like I said, at one time, college was kind of a necessity. Everybody was just steered towards college. If you want to have a good life, you got to go to college. And I think a lot of people are starting to realize college costs are out of control. The return on investment, just in terms of like the salary people are getting coming out of college, is kind of getting to the point where it's not really worth it anymore. So I think it'll be interesting to kind of see this statistic 20 years from now. And is the vast majority of millionaires still college educated? I'd be curious to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment in the comment section below. Millionaire fact number 2, from another Spectrum study, on a 100-point scale, millionaires rated the importance of having a regular savings program at 82, reflecting their strong belief of its importance to wealth. I'm big into, I like kind of following personal finance blogs, and I'm really interested in the FIRE movement, financial independence, retiring early. And really that's all about, trying to increase your income as much as possible, which will in turn allow you to increase your savings rate. The compounding power of money over time is incredible. And that's, when you retire, most of your wealth isn't going to be money that you earned and saved. Most of it is going to be growth in retirement accounts, mutual funds, stocks, and other investments. But you can see here how important savings is. And because of this, I would say most millionaires probably aren't running around popping bottles at clubs, buying Lamborghinis. Most millionaires are reinvesting into themselves, reinvesting into their businesses, building up a real estate portfolio, investing into the stock market. So if we kind of compare this to what YouTube entrepreneurship looks like these days, kind of flashing things and taking trips, historically speaking, millionaires are savers. Millionaire fact number 3, 1 in 3 funded their own college education without debt. I think this is becoming harder and harder to do. As the cost of education rises, it's getting to the point where it's almost impossible to pay your way through school, working fast food or working on a college campus. But I do think there is something to be garnered from this statistic. I think if you're paying for your own college education, you're motivated, you have a plan, you have goals. You kind of know what's important. You're committing yourself to something. And the fact that somebody could pay their own way through college, I think shows that they're committed and motivated and hardworking. So this one doesn't really surprise me, although it is getting harder and harder to do. We kind of just talked about how, college, the costs of college education are rising faster than inflation. And it's getting to the point where it would almost be impossible for a college student to pay their own way through school without any loans, grants, anything like that. Millionaire fact number 4, Fidelity's Millionaire Outlook survey showed 86% of millionaires said they made their own wealth. They didn't inherit it. What I think is kind of interesting about this one, I don't know if you guys listen to Dave Ramsey. If not, check him out sometime. Dave Ramsey, some people love him, some people hate him. He's got a podcast about personal finance and kind of being smart with your money. I don't necessarily agree with everything he says. He believes nobody should use credit cards and people should have a 0 credit score. Like, I don't really buy into that. But most of Dave Ramsey's information and kind of outlooks are very kind of conservative, very kind of common sense things about not spending money you don't have, being frugal, not wasting money, saving, not being stupid with money, not taking on debt. His big thing is not getting into debt and staying out of debt. And Dave Ramsey has an interesting segment on his show each week. He says, a lot of times he sees millionaires or wealthy people being vilified. And he said, the reality is the vast majority of millionaires didn't get a handout from mommy and daddy. They didn't get lucky. They made their own money. So this kind of backs that up. And I thought it was interesting. 86% of millionaires said they made their own wealth. They didn't inherit it. Joe Rogan always says a funny phrase. He says, show me a great man of a great man. And he kind of talks about how it's really challenging, if not almost impossible, for somebody who's given everything to kind of make their own life for themselves or have success, because things have been too easy for them and they don't really have any grit. Millionaire fact number 5. On average, it takes a millionaire 32 years to hit the 1 million mark, dispelling the notion that most get rich quick from a windfall. Now, I've heard different numbers thrown around. I think Dave Ramsey on his show says that the average millionaire takes about 18 years to hit the $1 million mark. So whether it's 18 years or 32 years, it doesn't appear that most people become millionaires overnight after launching a Shopify store or whatever else. It takes most people quite a long period of time to get to that $1 million mark. And most people, as we'll see, I think in one of these upcoming stats, have multiple revenue streams to get them there. Number 6, in fact, the same study showed that 80% of current millionaires didn't reach 1 million until at least 50 years old. I do think the internet has opened up a lot of opportunities for people of all ages. I think it's made upward mobility a lot easier. But again, when we look at all these YouTube 16-year-old millionaires, the facts don't really line up with what we're being presented on YouTube. I highly doubt there's as many 16, 18, 21-year-old millionaires as claimed to be on YouTube. But yeah, here 80% of people didn't hit that $1 million mark until at least 50 years old. Millionaire stat number 7. Research conducted by Thomas Corley of Rich Habits showed that 86% of wealthy people who work full-time put in 50 hours or more each week at their career. And I think this kind of dispels the passive income myth, the idea that people are making millions of dollars working 4 hours a week, or the whole 4-hour work week thing. I definitely think technology and automation has enabled us to create more leveraged income streams. You guys know I don't really like the term passive income, but leverage income, setting up systems to where you can put in a lot of time and effort and work up front and then reap those benefits down the line. And because it's leverage, you can move on to other projects and work on other projects while your earlier projects are still making money. But the research tends to say that most people aren't sitting on beaches sipping margaritas making their millions. Most people are hard at work. Millionaire fact number 8. Further, 67% of wealthy people watch less than 1 hour of television daily, and 63% spend less than 1 hour daily surfing the internet. So millionaires and successful people, they're focused, right? They're not binge watching 7 seasons of Lost. They're not spending all day on Facebook playing Candy Crush. They are out there actually crushing it in the workplace, crushing it in their business. I heard Les Brown recently. I heard one of Les Brown's speeches recently, and he talked about a buddy of his who I forget what he did exactly, but he rose very high in his career, made a lot of money in a short period of time. And Les Brown asked him, "What did you do?" And he said, I got my TV out of my house. He said, "I realized I was watching like 4 to 6 hours of TV a night. And, as soon as I got rid of my TV, I started reading, I started working on projects, and that really launched my life forward." So that's an interesting one. Millionaire stat number 9. Next, desire matters, as Corley found that 50% of self-made millionaires were obsessed with becoming rich before they were rich. Now, I know everybody wants to be rich, right? We all want more money. I think if you asked 100 people, do you want to be a millionaire? I doubt you'd get anybody saying no. But I think what they're probably talking about here is people who became millionaires were all obsessed with becoming millionaires prior to being millionaires, and they didn't just talk about it. They envisioned it. They were setting plans in place. They were putting in the work that would actually get them there. Millionaire stat number 10. Also, Corley's research showed that millionaires often pursue multiple streams of income, with 65% having at least 3 streams of income, thereby diversifying their dependence on any one stream of income. And I've actually heard higher numbers thrown out. I've heard that the average millionaire has between 5 and 8 streams of income. The importance of this diversification. If something happens to one of your businesses, but you have 5 others going, it's not going to affect you nearly as much. Also the idea of leveraged income, right? Focus on one project, work on one project, get that project making money, either put some people in place or get some automation in place to keep that functioning, and then move on to project number 2, build up project number 2, get that making money, kind of get that more on passive mode, either get somebody to run it, get some automation in place, move on to revenue stream number 3. So you're protected against downturns and businesses going under, and at the same time, you have multiple streams of income bringing money into you. Number 11, finally, 88% of self-made millionaires read at least 30 minutes every day, focused on self-education. You guys remember when we did the book club and did the Millionaire Fast Lane? MJ DeMarco had a great phrase or a great quote. It was something along the lines of, education begins after college, or something about self-education. You can go through school. Most people come out of college not really knowing anything practical for their career or to make money. The people who are successful are going to be the people who have a curiosity to continue learning, to continue improving themselves, whether that's kind of personal development type stuff, reading magazines, blogs, things within your industry, and staying an expert on your industry. 88%, so a vast majority of millionaires spend at least 30 minutes a day reading. If you want to be a millionaire, are you spending 30 minutes a day reading? I think if we all cut out a little bit of TV, we'd probably all spend a little bit more time reading. But I definitely think self-education and reading is incredibly important. Number 12, millionaires also take good care of their health, with 76% exercising 4 days a week. There's another great quote that a YouTuber, I wish I could remember his name, always says. He says, "How you do anything is how you do everything." And the idea behind that quote is if you slack in one area of your life, it's very easy for that slacking or that work ethic to carry over into other areas. So most people who are successful, most people who are kind of the peak of their industry, they're the best at everything they do. They're going to be in the best shape. They're going to try to be the best friend, be the best husband. They're going to strive to be the best in every area of their life. Now, obviously, are there CEOs who are incredibly fat, or are there CEOs and rich people who have horrible relationships with their families? Yeah, I'm sure there are. But the vast majority of successful people and millionaires are probably going to strive to do the best in every area of their life. And, if you're not healthy, it's hard to work hard. It's hard to put in those long hours that it takes to be successful and be a millionaire. So most millionaires, a vast majority, are taking very good care of their health. 13, 86% are married, including 65% in their first marriage, according to Trust Insights on Wealth and Worth. I don't really know. No, I don't really have any commentary on this one, but this one's interesting. I'm kind of surprised to hear that that 86% of millionaires are married. You'd think that, maybe working long hours or success might cause some strain on a relationship, but surprisingly, 86% of millionaires are married, and the vast majority of them are in their first marriage. That's interesting. Number 14, the 2016 study also showed that 78% started out as middle class or poor. only 22% grew up in the upper class. So this kind of dispels, the myth that most people who are successful because of their situation or because of their parents. Obviously, to some extent, the more benefits you have in terms of education, access to computers, growing up safe, not worrying about food or a roof over your head, I think you're going to be more likely to be successful if you don't have those worries. But again, the vast majority of people aren't where they are because of where they started out. So I think that's promising and inspiring. Number 15, finally, many grew up in disciplined environments with 76% citing that academic achievement was emphasized and 68% saying financial discipline was emphasized. So, for any of you guys who have kids, don't let them run wild. Keep them focused on their education, on improving themselves. Start teaching them about money at a young age, because it seems like most millionaires, or at least a majority of millionaires, grew up in what I'm assuming is stable homes with discipline and learning about money and financial discipline at a young age. Number 16, a study by the Harris Group titled Survey of Affluence and Wealth showed that respondents save an average of 23% of their income. And again, that kind of goes back to the FIRE movement, financial independence, retiring early. You want to try to keep as high of a savings rate as you possibly can. Millionaire fact number 17. Also, 87% of respondents said that they succeeded in making their household more fiscally responsible during the last recession. That's interesting. Vast majority of millionaires seem to have cut back during the last recession. And I guess if you cut back, that in turn increases your savings rate. And anybody who invested heavily following the 2008 crash, there were some stocks at huge discounts. If during a downturn you can tighten up and be more frugal and pour even more money into the markets, into buying, depressed real estate. When things turn back around, you'll be sitting pretty. Millionaire fact number 18. 62% of millionaires rely on a financial planner to help them manage their wealth, according to Fidelity's Millionaire Study Outlook. I really don't know what I think about this. I think in this day and age, I think millennials and Gen Zers are probably much less likely to use financial planners or financial advisors. I kind of understand why the rich do it. For your average person, I think most of us are probably better off using a robo-advisor, using a 3-fund portfolio, or, just throwing all your money into VTSAX or some total stock market mutual fund. I think people are kind of turned off by financial advisors. There's kind of a bad reputation in the financial advisor community, or with using financial planners and advisors, that they sell you products and steer you into things that make them more money over what's necessarily best for you. And also with the rise of robo-advisors within the past few years, things like Wealthfront and Betterment, I think we're going to start seeing less and less people in the future using financial advisors. But I can see why millionaires and the uber rich, at that level, I think there might be something to be said for having an expert who really knows all the tax loopholes and all the different investment options and things like that. But that's an interesting fact. Millionaire stat number 19, and millionaire behavior number 19. Millionaires have significant equity in their homes, as on average, their mortgage is less than 1/3 of their home's value, according to research performed by Thomas Stanley for his book, The Millionaire Next Door. Seems like millionaires are, I'm assuming, putting high down payments on their houses. They're not getting 100% loans. Some of them are probably buying their houses in cash. Others are probably at the very least putting 20% down. They're probably, because they save a lot of money, they're probably putting an effort into paying those loans down. In this day and age, it doesn't always make sense to pay your mortgage down. Mortgage rates are so low. I think one of my mortgages from a few years ago is 4.87%. I went on my current house, which is only about 2 years old. That one is down at like 3%. But, whereas the stock market, normally even adjusting for inflation is going to give you at least 7-8%. It's almost kind of silly to pay your house down. Although I think mentally, being debt free and not having a mortgage is a big thing. But interesting stat there. Millionaire habit number 20. Stanley's research also showed that the average millionaire goes bankrupt 3 to 5 times before they eventually succeed. This is a really interesting one. I know Walt Disney famously went bankrupt a few times. I know there's a lot of other millionaires who've gone bankrupt or failed a number of times before they succeeded. Makes me think of that Denzel Washington commencement speech, fail forward, keep failing forward, and eventually you will be where you want to be. Millionaire stat, millionaire behavior number 21. Further, only 20% are actually retired, meaning 80% still work. Here's kind of an interesting one. I know a lot of us have dreams of making a bunch of money and kind of kicking back and living the good life. And well, what's kind of funny to see is a lot of the most successful people out there, a lot of the richest people out there, the Elon Musks, the Jeff Bezoses, the Mark Cubans, these guys have more money than they'll ever be able to spend, yet they're still working. And I think it kind of goes to show that it's kind of ironic that the people who most want to be millionaires so that they can sit back on a beach and never do anything again are in many ways probably the least likely to people to become millionaires. I think most of the successful people and really wealthy people out there, they have a drive within themselves, right? Like doing your best and succeeding and having a purpose, it's just part of them. It's not something that they can turn off. So I think those are the people who tend to be millionaires, and they're not the ones who are going to walk away because they have X amount of money. They're still trying to take it to the next level. They're still trying to be the best in their industry. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Millionaire stat, millionaire behavior number 22. Next, 66% of millionaires own their own business. Not as high as some of the 80s, but well over half of millionaires, they don't work for somebody else. They're not freelancers. They actually own their own business. And I think that shows the importance of owning your own business and being your own boss. And number 23, millionaire stat, millionaire behavior, The Millionaire Next Door. That's a great book, by the way. If you haven't read that, check it out. It kind of goes to show how most millionaires aren't flashy. Most millionaires aren't driving Ferraris. You may have a millionaire living right next door, living in, a similar house to you, driving a Toyota Camry. Most millionaires aren't that flashy. So number 23 goes on to say The Millionaire Next Door cites that the percent of first-generation millionaires is 80%, dispelling the idea that most millionaires just inherit their money from a prior generation. And that is the end, guys. It is over. Those are 23 facts about millionaires, 23 behaviors of millionaires. Now you know what to do. The end. Get out there and make your first million.